Hello scholars, welcome to Dakshinai classroom. Today we are going to discuss exercise 2 of modern physics 1. Now in your question bank, this exercise includes question from Bohr atomic model, X-rays, hydrogen-like species and so on. But in today's video, we will only discuss question from photoelectric effect and de Broglie waves, which are also called matter waves. For Bohr atomic model, X-rays and so on, there will be another video when we take a look at those chapters. So first let us solve these questions. Now before I solve them, I must implore you to go and try solve them yourself. If you have not solved them, then please go and solve them yourself. Once you have solved them yourself, you have tried to solve them yourself, if you have any doubt in any question, then you can come take a look at that question. You need not follow each and every question. Okay, so let us take a look at the first question. Question number 1. What is question number 1? The energy of a photon of frequency mu is E equals h mu. Now energy equals h times mu. This is given. And the momentum of the photon of wavelength lambda is P equals h by lambda. Then from this statement one may conclude that wave velocity of light is equal to. They are asking, tell me the speed of light from these two. Now if E is written as h mu, this can also be written as E equals hc divided by lambda. And in place of h by lambda, I can write P. So E can be written as P times C. And what do I want? I want speed of the light. So C equals E divided by P. So if you want energy of if you want speed of a photon or wave velocity, then what you can do? Energy of the photon divided by momentum of the photon. That is your second option is the correct choice. Now let us try to solve question number 2, that is de Broglie wavelength of an electron moving with velocity 1.5 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second is equal to that of a photon. So de Broglie wavelength of electron can be written as h divided by momentum. What is momentum? M times v. Now this can be written as equal to wavelength of an photon. What is the wavelength of a photon? hc by lambda is energy. So lambda is nothing but hc by energy. So you can write hc divided by energy of the photon. Now here h cancel and multiply denominator both side by v. Then what you will get? 1 divided by mv square will be equal to, h is already cancelled, c divided by energy of photon multiplied by v. Now here it is mv square and half mv square is the energy of a electron. Now if I multiply 2 here and multiply 2 here both sides, then there will be no difference. And 2 by mv square is nothing but 1 by energy of electron, which is equal to 2 times c divided by energy of photon multiplied by speed of electron. Now what is the speed of electron given here? The speed of the electron is given as 1.5 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. That is nothing but half of the speed of light. So c divided by 2. C cancel. So 1 by energy of electron is equal to 4 divided by energy of photon. Now what they are asking? Ratio of kinetic energy of electron to that of energy of photon. So energy of electron divided by energy of photon is equal to 1 by 4. That is your answer, which is option number 4th. So this way you can find energy ratios of an electron and a photon if the speed of the electron is given. You need not calculate mass and all that. Mass is not necessary. Question number 3. What is question number 3? Let P and E denote the linear momentum and energy of a photon. For another photon of smaller wavelength, if you reduce the smaller wavelength in the same medium. Now what is the significance of saying that in the same medium? Because if you change the medium, then speed will change. So in the same medium means speed remains same. So energy is what? Energy is nothing but hc divided by lambda. So in the same medium, h remains constant, c remains constant. So if wavelength becomes smaller, if denominator decreases, then obviously your fraction value will increase. So energy will increase. So if you reduce the wavelength, energy increases. What about momentum? So for a photon, momentum is nothing but h by lambda. H is a universal constant. You reduce the lambda, P also increases. So if you reduce lambda, momentum and energy both will increase. That will be your answer. That is your option number first. Question number 4. Question number 4, what they are asking? Which of the following graphs in the figure shows the variation of photoelectric current with voltage V between the electrons in a photoelectric cell? Now, if you remember the graph, if I want to plot the photo current versus potential, which potential? Anode potential with respect to cathode, or collector plate potential with respect to emitter plate potential. So if I want to draw that graph, you should remember this graph. That graph comes out to be like this. That somewhere it is 0, increases like this. This is your current. This is your anode potential. Now what happens? At 0, some current is there. As you increase the potential, current started increasing. After some time, it becomes constant. Saturation current reaches. If you start decreasing the anode potential, then current started decreasing. At one point, current becomes 0. This minus V0, and the magnitude of this minus V0 is known as your stopping potential. So this graph you should remember. So this is your option number 1. Now let us discuss question number 5. What is question number 5? The collector plate in an experiment on photoelectric effect is kept vertically above the emitter plate. Now let us try to visualize how it is placed. Question number 5. So here it is your emitter plate. Light is incident like this. And here it is your collector plate. Here this is emitter, this is collector. Now we need not draw the entire your apparatus, just 2 will be fine. Light source is put on and a saturation current is recorded. So already saturation current has been achieved. An electric field is switched on which has vertically downward direction. So right now electron is moving like this. From here electrons are emitted. Here it is E minus, here it is E minus, here it is E minus, here it is E minus. And these electrons are moving in the vertical direction. Like this. Because this is emitter, this is collector. Now if I here an electric field is switched on which has vertical downward direction. So one electric field is switched on like this. Now if you remember, electrons are accelerated in a direction opposite to the electric field. So what will be the effect of this electric field? This electric field will try to accelerate electrons in the upward direction. Meaning they were already going upward. This electric field is helping them to reach more fast. But remember, before I switched on this electric field, a saturation current was already established. Now let us take a look at the options. The photocurrent will increase. Will the photocurrent increase? No. Why? Because before switching on this electric field, saturation current was established, meaning already all of the electrons were able to reach the emitter plate from emitter to collector, meaning this electric field will not result in any additional electrons reaching the collector plate. Means no new electrons will reach the collector plate because of this field. So there will be no increase in photocurrent. Why? Because they have said that photocurrent was already saturated before switching off this field. So there will be no effect. Unless and until you change the intensity of light, your photocurrent will remain same. So first option is wrong. Second, the kinetic energy of electrons will increase. That is true. Why? Because electrons are accelerated in a direction opposite to the field and they were already going in this direction. So acceleration and velocity are in the same direction. So velocity will increase and so kinetic energy will increase. Option number third, stopping potential will decrease. No. Because stopping, they are already more and more, they are going fast. So they will not stop. Stopping potential is the property of what? Property of frequency of light and your work function, which are not changing. Option number 4, threshold wavelength will increase. No. If third is wrong, fourth is also wrong. So only effect this will have is increase the kinetic energy of these electrons. That is why it is that. It is because before I switched on this electric field, saturation current was already established. So if already all of the electrons emitted by this plate are able to reach the collector, then how this will increase in saturation current? This cannot increase your photocurrent. If some of the electrons were not able to reach the collector plate before this, then there would have been an increase in photocurrent. So the only correct option is second option, that is kinetic energy of the electrons will increase. Okay, let us take a look at, question number 6 we are skipping. We are only focusing on photoelectric effect and de Broglie wavelengths. So next is question number 9. So let's see what question number 9. Question number 9 is, an image of the sun is formed by a lens of focal length 30 cm on the metal surface of photoelectric cell and it produces a current I. The lens forming the image is then replaced by another lens of same diameter but focal length 15 cm. The photocurrent in this case will be, now see, here they have written is very cleverly. Now see, in both the cases, the plate is kept at focal plane and normal to the axis. Now, number of photons falling on your collector plate or your plate which is emitting the photoelectrons will depend upon how much sunlight your lens is collecting, not on where it is focusing. So if the diameter of the lens remains same, then area of the lens remains same. Does not matter what is the focus. And if the area of the lens remains same, then light collected by lens will remain same. And if light collected by lens remains same, the number of photons falling on your emitter plate will remain same. And if number of photons falling on your emitter plate remains same, then number of electrons, photoelectrons ejected by emitter plate will also remain same. And if number of photoelectrons ejected by plate, your emitter plate remains same, then photocurrent will remain same. So here they have very cleverly changed the focal length. So there is no difference if you take focal length 30 or 15 or 50 or 10 or whatever value. as long as the diameter of your lens remains same, the lens which you are using to focus the light on your emitter plate. As long as diameter remains same and all of the light passing through the lens falls on your plate, your number of photons will remain same. So you can simply say that electrons ejected will be proportional to area of lens. And since area of lens remains same, your number of electron ejected remains same. And since electron ejected remains same, photocurrent remains same. So if initial photocurrent was I, then final photocurrent will also be I. It will not change. Why it is not changing? Because area of the lens is not changing. So that is your option number 3. That is the correct option. Now remember, in these types of question you have to be very careful. They have very cleverly changed the focal length but kept the diameter same. Now let us solve question number 10. What it says is, when a monochromatic source of light is at a distance of 0.2 meter from photoelectric cell, a photoelectric experiment we are performing, and monochromatic light source is 0.2 meter away. The cutoff voltage and the saturation current are respectively. So V0 stopping potential is 0.6 volt and saturation current is 18 milliampere. Now if you remember, stopping potential is nothing but h mu by E minus phi by E, where h is the Planck's constant, E is the magnitude of charge, mu is the frequency of light, and phi is the work function. Now does not matter where I keep my force, as long as frequency of the source remains same, your stopping potential will not change. So here initial stopping potential is 0.6 volt. Then final stopping potential will remain same, 0.6 volt, like this. Second thing, what about intensity? What will be the effect on intensity? Now remember, in case of a point source, intensity varies with inverse R square. Meaning, when you move away from the source, intensity of a point source light is proportional to 1 by R square, or inversely proportional to R square. As you move away from the source, intensity decreases. So higher the intensity, greater is the saturation current. So I can also write saturation current is proportional to intensity, and so it is proportional to 1 by R square. Meaning now initially the distance from the source of light was 0.2 meter and finally the distance from the source of light is 0.6 meter. So what I can write? So if the initial intensity is I1 and final intensity is I2, then I1 by I2 may be written as equal to R2 square divided by R1 square, and R1 is 0.2 and R2 is 0.6. So that will be your 0.6 divided by 0.2 will be 3 square, like this. Now see, initial intensity is written as 18 milliampere. I1 is written as 18 milliampere. Then what will be I2? So from here you can write I2 will be nothing but I1 divided by 9. And I1 is written as 18 milliampere. So I2 will be 2 milliampere. So that way you can find the intensity, final intensity and final stopping potential. So when you take the source away, then stopping potential will not change while the intensity will be reduced. Intensity reduced means saturation current will also reduce. And if you keep the source or you take the source closer to the emitter plate, then also stopping potential will not change. But in this case, since you are taking the source closer to the plate, more and more photons will hit the emitter plate, more and more photoelectrons will be ejected, so your saturation current will increase. So remember, you take the source away, saturation current decreases. You take the source closer, saturation current increases. Now let us take a look at question number 11. Which of the following statements is not true? Not true for de Broglie waves. Statement 1. The atomic particles in motion have waves of a definite wavelength associated with them. That is true. If the particles are in motion, they have a definite wavelength. Now remember, you have to tell which of them is not true. Second statement is, the higher the momentum, the longer is the wavelength. Now what is the de Broglie wavelength? De Broglie wavelength lambda is h divided by p, where p is the momentum. So if you increase the denominator, if you increase the momentum, so higher the momentum means lower will be wavelength. And what they have written? Higher the momentum, longer is the wavelength. That is not true. If you increase the momentum, then wavelength will be shorter, not longer. So statement number 2 is the wrong statement, not true statement. So option 2 is the correct choice. Now remember, it is a single choice question. So once you get which one of them is not true, you need not check third and fourth option. But let us check. Third option says, the faster the particle, shorter is the wavelength. Fast means more momentum. More momentum is shorter wavelength. That is true. Fourth option. For the same velocity, a heavier particle has shorter wavelength. True. For the same velocity, heavier particle will have high momentum, and high momentum with short wavelength. That is true. So only second statement is wrong. Okay, next question is question number 12. So let us see question number 12. Question number 12 says, the frequency and intensity of a light source are both double. Frequency is also doubled and intensity is also double, meaning number of photons striking the emitter plate are doubled and frequency are doubled. Consider the following statement. The saturation photocurrent remains almost same. If the intensity is doubled, number of photons striking the plate doubles. And if number of photons striking the plate doubles, then almost electrons ejected from the emitter plate will also double. Then how can saturation current remain same? Saturation current will not remain same. Saturation current will be doubled. So question option number 1, statement 1 is wrong. What is statement 2? The maximum kinetic energy of photoelectrons is doubled. What is maximum kinetic energy? Kinetic energy maximum is h mu minus phi. That is kinetic energy. If you double the frequency, then we have already solved questions like this in the previous section. What was this? Kinetic energy max dash will be equal to twice of h mu minus phi. And in place of h mu, you can write Ke max plus phi. So this will be twice of Ke max plus phi minus phi. So you get kinetic energy max dash equals to twice of kinetic energy max plus phi. So when you double the frequency, kinetic energy does not double. Kinetic energy or maximum kinetic energy becomes more than double. So statement 2 is also false. So both of the statements, statement 1 and statement 2 is false. Option number 4 is your correct choice. That both of these statements are false. So let us solve question number 13th. A cesium photocell with a steady potential difference of 60 volts across it is illuminated by a small bright light 50 centimeter away. When the same light is placed 1 meter away, the photoelectrons emerging from this photocell. Now remember, we have already discussed question like this. What was that? If you take a point source closer to the emitter plate, then saturation current increases. And if you take the point source further away from the emitter plate, then saturation current decreases. So what you will write? Current is proportional to 1 by R square, where R is your distance from the source of light. So I1 by I2, initial current divided by final current, will be equal to R2 square divided by R1 square. So initial current is your light pass away, saturation current is there. Now, so photoelectrons emerging from the photocell. Photoelectrons can be taken as same as current. So how many photoelectrons are emitted? That is proportional to current, or vice versa. Current is proportional to number of photoelectrons. So here initial distance was 50 centimeter. And final distance is what? Final distance when the light is placed 1 meter away. Final distance is 1 meter. So you can say I2 is nothing but I1 multiplied by R1 square divided by R2 square. So I1 multiplied by R1 is 50, R2 is 100 centimeter. So 1 by 4. So final current is 1 by 4th of initial current, meaning final number of electrons ejected will be 1 by 4th of initial number of electrons ejected, which is your option number 4. The photoelectrons emerging from the photocell are 1/4 of the initial value. So option 4 is the true choice. In questions like this, always remember that current is proportional to 1 by R square, or intensity of the light is proportional to 1 by R square. And higher the intensity, more the photoelectrons ejected. Lower intensity, less photoelectrons ejected. So let us take a look at next question. Next question we will discuss question number 15. We are only focusing on de Broglie waves and your photoelectric effect. So question number 15. Now question number 15 says the work function for aluminum surface is 4.2 electron volt and that for sodium surface is 2 electron volt. The two metals were illuminated with appropriate radiations so as to cause photo emission. Then there are 4 statements. Let us read the statements. Both aluminum and sodium will have the same threshold frequency? No, because threshold frequency is what? Phi equals h mu and mu naught equals phi by h. That is your threshold frequency. So your threshold frequency is the property of work function. If work function is different, then how can threshold frequency be same? Threshold frequency will also be different. So statement number 1 is wrong. What is statement number 2? Statement number 2 says the threshold frequency of aluminum will be more than of sodium. Now remember, threshold frequency V mu naught is directly proportional to phi. So greater work function means more threshold frequency. So in this case, it is given that aluminum work function is 4.2 electron volt and sodium work function is 2 electron volt. So obviously aluminum threshold frequency will be greater than sodium threshold frequency. So statement number 2 is correct. So option 2 is the correct choice. Now remember, if aluminum has greater threshold frequency than sodium, then what about wavelength? Wavelength will be reverse. Aluminum will have shorter threshold wavelength than sodium. So that is how you can solve question number 15. Now let us discuss question number 16th. Question number 16 says a point source of light is used in a photoelectric effect. If the source is removed further from emitting metal, the stopping potential will. Now remember, if the source comes closer or further, frequency of the light coming from the source will not change. And since your stopping potential depends upon frequency, V naught equals h mu by E minus phi by E. And since stopping potential depends on frequency and work function, does not matter whether you keep the source closer to the emitter plate or further away from the emitter plate. Frequency remains same, and frequency remains same, stopping potential remains same. So what will happen? Stopping potential will remain constant, meaning stopping potential will not change. That is your third option, that stopping potential will remain constant. Question number 17. It says a point source causes photoelectric effect from a small metal plate. Which of the following curve may represent the saturation photocurrent as a function of distance between point source and the metal? Now we have already seen, we have already discussed that current is proportional to 1 by R square. We have already discussed this. If distance is increased, current decreases. If distance is decreased, current increases. That distance is from where to where? From the point source of the light to the emitter plate. So, if current is y-axis and distance is x-axis, then you can say y is equal to m by x or xy is equal to constant. So that will be your equation, where y is your current and x is your distance. So if I want to draw the graph, this is your current and this is your distance r, then graph will be how much? Hyperbola, like this. That is your graph. So that is your option number 4th is the correct choice. Let us take a look at next question, which is question number 21. We are only doing question from de Broglie wave and photoelectric effect in this video. That is why after 17, 21. Middle question we are not doing. Question number 21. Photoelectrons emitted from a metal surface. There are 4 statements. Are all at rest. Have the same kinetic energy, have same momentum. Now remember, when photoelectrons are ejected, kinetic energy maximum is h mu minus phi. But the actual kinetic energy of individual photoelectron, that depends upon that how many collisions they will make before they came out of your metal surface. Some of them will make more collisions, so their final kinetic energy will be less. Some of them will be making less collisions, for their kinetic energy final will be more. So the final kinetic energy actually depends upon how many collisions they are making. So different electrons make different number of collisions. That is why their final kinetic energy is different. So all are at rest. That is wrong. Have same kinetic energy. That is also wrong. Have same momentum. That is also wrong. 4th option. Have speeds varying from 0 up to a certain maximum value. Of course. So kinetic energy can be how much? Can be greater than 0 and less than or equal to h mu minus phi. That is kinetic energy. So speed 0 should be less than speed should be less than V max. If there is a maximum kinetic energy, there has to be maximum speed. So actual speed of your photoelectrons will vary like this: greater than 0 and less than a maximum value. And how you can find this maximum value? Half m v max square equals maximum kinetic energy, which is h mu minus phi. So if you want, you can also find maximum speed of the photoelectrons. So that's how you can do. So option number 4th is the correct choice. Have speeds varying from 0 up to a certain maximum value. Next question, question number 23. Question number 23 is the stopping potential as a function of frequency of incident radiation is plotted. Now let us plot first. Stopping potential V naught equals h mu divided by E minus phi by E. So if I want to plot this graph on y versus x, then I take this as y. So y equals mx plus c constant, where slope is how much? M equals h by E. So if you take different plate, if you take different emitter plates, then your slope of the graph should not change, because slope depends on Planck's constant and E. So that remains fixed. And here C is equal to minus of phi by E. So that depends on your metal plate, because C depends upon work function. So if you plot this graph, in the question they have given that this is your stopping potential and here it is frequency, and they have given you two curves. Curve A and curve B. Now they are asking that show that work function of A is greater than B or smaller than B or equal to B. How do we find? Now remember, when you extrapolate this graph, and this will cut here and this will cut here, and where they cut at C equals minus phi by E. So this is minus of phi A by E, and this is minus of phi B by E. Now since E, which is charge on an electron, that is a constant, so minus phi by AE. So phi A by E is smaller than phi B by E, meaning your work function of A is smaller than work function of B. That is your option number 2nd. That is the true choice, because here if you take a look here, phi A by E is lesser than phi B by E, and since E is constant, phi A is smaller than phi B. Work function of A is smaller than work function of B. Now let us solve question number 24. Question number 24, what it says is, in an electron gun, electrons are accelerated through a potential difference V. If E equals charge of electron and M equals mass of electron, then maximum velocity will be. Now for any charge particle, if you accelerate it through a potential difference V, then kinetic energy can be written as half mv square, which is equal to charge on the electron times potential difference V. So from here you can write V equals root over of twice EV divided by mass of the electron. That is your option number 2 is the correct choice. Very easy question. Simply kinetic energy is equal to charge multiplied by potential difference. This is equal to half mv square. V equals root over of twice EV divided by m. That is your second option. If this is not electron, then you can simply replace E with charge on that particle. Next question number 27. What it says is, light of wavelength 5000 angstrom falls on a sensitive plate with photoelectric work function of 1.9 electron volt. The kinetic energy of the photoelectrons emitted will be. Now, if you remember, maximum kinetic energy can be written as kinetic energy max will be equal to hc by lambda minus of phi. So this hc by lambda can be written as 1242 electron volt nanometer divided by lambda in nanometer. When you are using hc in place of this value, then you must write lambda in nanometer. Here it is 5000 angstrom. Then 5000 angstrom is nothing but 500 nanometer. So this much electron volt minus. What is the work function given? Work function given is 1.9 electron volt. Like this. So 1242 divided by 500, that will be your approximately 2.5 electron volt minus 1.9 electron volt. So that will be approximately 0.6 electron volt. So your electrons will have maximum kinetic energy. This is maximum kinetic energy. Not all of the electrons will have this kinetic energy. So maximum kinetic energy of the electrons will be approximately 0.6 electron volt. That is your option number 1. So that is your correct choice. Let us solve next question, that is question number 28. Now question number 28 is, in a photo emission with exciting wavelength lambda, the fastest electron has speed v. If the exciting wavelength is changed to 3 lambda by 4, the speed of the fastest electron will be. Now, for the fastest electron, I can write half mv square kinetic energy equals to hc by lambda minus of phi, where phi is the work function. Now let us take the second case. Half m v dash square new speed will be equal to hc divided by, now lambda initially it was lambda wavelength, finally it is 3 lambda by 4. So here 3 lambda 4 minus of phi. Now in place of hc by lambda, I can write half m v dash square equals to 4 by 3 times hc by lambda. And what is hc by lambda? Half mv square plus phi. So half mv square plus phi minus of phi. So what you will get? Half m v dash square equals to 4 by 3 times half mv square plus 1 by 3 times phi. Now from here you can conclude that v dash square is greater than 4 by 3 times v square, like this. And if this is true, then you can also say that v dash is greater than under root of 4 by 3 times v. That you can say. So that will be your answer, which is your option number 4th. The new speed of the electron, which is v dash, will be greater than root over of 4 by 3 times original speed. When you change lambda of incident light from lambda to 3 lambda by 4. So this way you can solve. Let us solve next question, that is question number 29. What is question number 29? Now question number 29 says that photoelectric work function for a metal surface is 4.125 electron volt. The cutoff wavelength for this surface is. Now, for a cutoff wavelength, you know that hc divided by lambda naught is equal to work function, where lambda naught is your cutoff wavelength. So lambda naught is nothing but hc divided by work function phi. Like this you can write. And for hc, you can write approximately 1240 electron volt nanometer divided by phi in electron volt. What is work function you are given? Work function is given that 4.125 electron volt. 4.125 electron volts, like this. This is your lambda naught. So here your lambda naught comes out to be approximately 3 nanometer, or not 3 nanometer, not 300 nanometer. So 300 nanometer is nothing but equal to 3000 angstrom, because nanometer is 10 to the power 9 minus 9 and angstrom is 10 to the power minus 10. So your option number 2, that cutoff wavelength for this surface is 3000 angstrom. That is your correct choice. Let us solve next question, that is question number 30. What is question number 30? When intensity of incident light increases. Now when intensity increases, meaning frequency remains same. So if number of photons striking the metal plate is increased while keeping the frequency constant, your stopping potential will remain same, but the saturation current will increase. Now let us read the options. Photocurrent increases? Yes. Photocurrent decreases? No. Because increasing intensity means more photons. More photons means more photoelectrons. More photoelectron means more photocurrent. So option number B is wrong. Option number 1 is correct. Kinetic energy of emitted photoelectrons increases? No. Because maximum kinetic energy depends upon frequency. And increasing intensity does not mean your frequency is increased. So option number C is also wrong. Option number D, kinetic energy of emitted photoelectron decreases. That is also wrong. Because when you keep the frequency constant, then maximum kinetic energy is constant. So option number 1 is the correct choice. When you increase the intensity, photocurrent increases. Let us take a look at this next question, that is question number 31. In this, option number 1 is correct choice. Option number 1. Next is question number 31. Question number 31 says that if wavelength of photon is 6000 angstrom, then energy will be. Now energy of a photon is nothing but hc divided by lambda. So E is nothing but around 1242 nanometer electron volt divided by lambda in nanometer. So 6000 angstrom means 600 nanometer. So 600 nanometer. Nanometer cancel. This will be how much? 1242 divided by 600. 12.42 divided by 6. Like this. This will be your approximately 2.07 electron volts. Approximately this much. In the options, none of the options match. Actually, option number 3 I think is misprint. They have written 2.66. That should be around 2.07 electron volts. So this is your energy of that photon. Let us solve next question, that is question number 34. Why we have skipped in between? As I already told you before, we are only focusing on de Broglie wavelength and photoelectric effect questions in this video. Question number 34. Work function of a metal is 5.26 into 10 to the power minus 18. Then its threshold wavelength will be. Now, for threshold wavelength, lambda naught is nothing but hc divided by work function. Now, in this case, work function is written in joules. Then lambda naught is equal to. Now, here, let us write Planck's constant 6.6 into 10 to the power minus 34 multiplied by C, which is 3 into 10 to the power 8, divided by work function, which is 5.26 into 10 to the power minus of 18. Now 6.67 into 10 into 3, which is approximately 20. So 20 divided by 5.26 multiplied by minus 18, you take upside, this will be minus of plus of 26, or minus 34 plus 26, that is 10 to the power minus of 8, 10 to the power minus of 8 meter. Now this will be approximately your 3.5 into 10 to the power minus 8 meter approximately. Now, so 3.5 into 10 to the power minus 8 meter, if you want to write this in angstrom, then how you can write? 350 into 10 to the power minus 10 meter, which is nothing but an angstrom. So it will be approximately 350 angstrom. In your option number 4th is around 344.4 angstrom. So that will be the correct choice. Option number 4th is your correct choice. You need not make exact calculation, because one is 700, 736, 760, 300 and 350. So approximately 350 you are getting, that is the correct choice. 344.4 angstrom is your threshold wavelength. Now let us solve next question, that is question number 37. Question number 37. It says that de Broglie wavelength of a particle accelerated with 150 volt potential is 10 to the power minus 10 meter. If it is accelerated by 600 volts potential difference, then its wavelength will be. Now if you remember, if I want to find de Broglie wavelength of a charged particle, I can write Planck's constant divided by under root of twice of mass times charge on the particle multiplied by potential difference through which it is accelerated. Now initially it was accelerated through 150 volt. Now if mass remains same, charge remains same, Planck's constant remains same, then you can simply say lambda is proportional to 1 divided by root over of potential difference, assuming mass does not change of the particle and charge does not change. So from here you can write lambda 2 divided by lambda 1 will be equal to under root of V1 divided by V2, like this. So final wavelength will be lambda 1 times root over of V1 divided by V2. Now it is given that initially the wavelength was 10 to the power minus 10 meter and the potential difference was 150 and final potential difference is 600. So here it will be 10 to the power minus 10 under root of 150 divided by 600. That will be 1 by 4, which will be 1 by 2, because under root of 1 by 4 is 1 by 2. So lambda 2 will be 10 to the power minus 10 multiplied by 1 by 2, that will be 0.5 angstrom. 0.5 angstrom. That is your option number 2 is the correct choice. So you have to remember this one. The de Broglie wavelength of a charged particle, if it is accelerated through a potential difference V, can be written as lambda equals h divided by under root of twice of mass times charge times potential difference. So that's how you can do it. So let us solve next question, that is question number 38. Now what question number 38 says? That in Davison-Germer experiment, the filament emits. So Davison and Germer experiment is used to do what? It is used to prove that electrons can show wave nature. So there was an electron gun used. So in Davison-Janover experiment, the filament emits electrons, high energy electrons. So your option 4 is the true choice. Let us solve next question, that is question number 41. What is question number 41? The momentum of photon having energy E is, we have already discussed this, that for a photon, if energy is E and momentum is P, then you can write energy equals momentum times C. Then P is equal to energy divided by C. That we have already discussed. So this is your option number 1 is the correct choice. Let us discuss next question, that is your question number 42. What is question number 42? The wavelength of X-ray photon is 0.01 angstrom. Its momentum is in kg meter per second is. So momentum is what? For a photon, momentum is nothing but Planck's constant divided by wavelength. That is the momentum of a photon. So here they are asking momentum. So P is equal to Planck's constant. What is Planck's constant? 6.63 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second divided by lambda. And lambda is given as 0.01 angstrom. So that will be 1 into 10 to the power minus 12 meter. So if you solve this, you will get how much? 6.63 into 10 to the power minus of 4 to 22 kg meter per second. That is your option number 1. Option 1 is the correct choice. So this way you can easily do this question. Let us solve next question, that is your question number 43. Question number 43. Question number 43 says that accelerating voltage of an electron gun is 50,000 volts. The de Broglie wavelength of the electron will be. So you can do lambda equals h divided by root over of twice of mass times charge on electron multiplied by potential difference. Now this is a general formula for any charge particle, but for electron we have solved this and we found that approximately you can say 12.25, or you can write it like this, under root of 150 divided by V angstrom. This is only applicable for electrons. For any charge particle general, you can use this formula. So under root of 150 divided by V. V is your 50,000. So 5 into 10 to the power 4 angstrom. So that is your what? That is your root over of 30 into 10 to the power minus 2 angstrom. Now root over of 30 is how much? Root over of 30 is approximately 5.5. So this will be 5.5 into 10 to the power minus 2 angstrom, and that will be approximately 0.055 angstrom. So that will be your wavelength of an electron if you accelerate that electron through a potential difference of 50,000 volts. Now remember, this formula is only applicable for electrons. If you have any other charge particle, you should use this general formula for the wavelength of charge particle. So that will be your option number 2 is the correct choice. Let's solve next question. Next question is your question number 45. Question number 45, it says photons of energy 6 electron volt is incident on a metal surface of work function 4 electron volt. The maximum kinetic energy of emitted photoelectrons will be. Very easy question. What is maximum kinetic energy? Kinetic energy maximum is equal to h mu minus of phi, where phi is the work function, h mu is the energy of photon. So photon energy is given as 6 electron volt and work function is given as 4 electron volt. So that is equal to 2 electron volt. So that is your option 3 is the correct choice. Next question number 46. Question number 46, let's solve. It says that work function for aluminum metal is 4.15 electron volt. For photoelectric effect from aluminum metal, the cutoff wavelength will be, that is threshold wavelength. So what is threshold wavelength? So for threshold wavelength you can write hc by lambda naught is equal to work function, or lambda naught is equal to hc divided by work function, like this. So they have given that work function is your 4.125 electron volt. So from here I can write 1242 nanometer electron volt divided by 4.125 electron volt, like this. And when you solve this, this is approximately your lambda naught will be 300 nanometer approximately. So approximately your cutoff wavelength or threshold wavelength for this particular aluminum metal, which has work function as 4.125 electron volt, is how much? 300 nanometer. If you use light of wavelength below 300, it will work. If you use light of wavelength more than 300, your photoelectric effect will not occur. So that was your question number 46. Now let us solve next question, that is your question number 47. Now question number 47 says the stopping potential necessary to reduce the photoelectric current to 0. Now remember what is the stopping potential? Now let's read the options. They have written stopping potential necessary to reduce the photoelectric current to 0. First option is directly proportional to wavelength of the incident light. What is stopping potential? V naught equals hc divided by lambda times E minus phi times E. Now, where lambda is the wavelength of the light falling on the metal, V naught is the stopping potential, h is the Planck's constant, c is the speed of light, phi is the work function, E is the charge on an electron. Now, so stopping potential is directly proportional to wavelength of incident light? No, that is wrong. Second option, uniformly increases with wavelength of the incident light. That will also be wrong. If you increase the wavelength, stopping potential should decrease. Third option, directly proportional to frequency. Now, V naught equals to can also be written as h mu by E minus phi by E. Now remember, there is a very slight difference, that when you say that something is directly proportional, something is directly proportional means, let us say I say y is proportional to x, meaning y is nothing but some constant k times x. There should be no other term. That is the meaning of directly proportional. Here it is not directly proportional. You can say that when you increase the frequency, V naught will increase, but you cannot say that V naught is directly proportional to your frequency. If I double the frequency, V naught will not be double. V naught will become more than double. So the meaning of directly proportional is, if I double something, it should become double. If I make this value 5 times, then this value should also become 5 times. Then it is directly proportional. So here V naught is not directly proportional to frequency. Your fourth option, uniformly increases with frequency. That is your correct choice. So when you draw this graph, the graph mu versus stopping potential, it will be a straight line. So that you can say that it uniformly increases with frequency. That is the correct choice. So that is your option number 4 is the correct choice. Fourth option. Now let us solve next question, that is your question number 52. So question number 52, next question. Question number 52 says, which one among shows particle nature of light? So there are number of experiments or the phenomenons are given, and they are asking which one of them is because of the particle nature of light. So there is photoelectric effect, that is because of particle nature, we have already studied that. Interference of light, that is because of wave nature. Refraction of light, that is also because of wave nature. Polarization of light, that is also because of wave nature. So only photoelectric effect out of the given 4 option is there, which is showing particle nature of light. So photoelectric effect, that is option number 1, that is the experiment or the phenomenon which is due to the particle nature of light. Next question is your question number 54. Now question number 54 is, a photocell is illuminated by a source of light which is placed at a distance d from the cell. If the distance becomes d by 2, then number of electrons emitted per second will be. Now we have already discussed this, that if you take a point source away from the source, then what happens? And if you take a point source close to the source, then what happens? Then you can already say that we have already discussed, that is number of electrons is proportional to 1 by r square, where r is the distance of emitter plate from your source. So source is the point source here. So here, so number of electrons n1 by n2 will be equal to r2 square divided by r1 square. So n2 will be equal to n1 times r1 square divided by r2 square, where n1 is the number of electrons emitted initially, n2 is number of electrons emitted finally, r1 is the initial distance from the source, r2 is the final distance from the source. So initial distance was d and final distance is d by 2. So n2 will be equal to n1 times d square divided by d square by 4. So that becomes your what? 4 times n1. So n2 is equal to 4 times n1. So if you keep the source previously at d and finally at d by 2, the number of electrons ejected becomes 4 times the initial value. So that way you can solve, you can remember this one, that number of electron is inversely proportional to 1 by r square. Now remember, this is only true when there is a point source of light. For other source will be different thing. Okay, let's solve next question. Next question is question number 55. What is question number 55? The value of Planck's constant is, that is a very easy question, you should remember that. Value of Planck's constant, generally in the exam they will give the values, but these are the standard things which you should remember. So value of Planck's constant H is 6.63 into 10 to the power minus 34 joules second. Now in the book it is given wrong. So in the answer it is given second option, that is not true. Fourth option is true, 6.63 into 10 to the power minus 34 joules second. That is your option number 4. In the exam they usually give the values of constants, but these are very standard value. If you remember, then it's okay, no problem, well and good. Question number 56. Question number 56 says, if particles are moving with same velocity, then de Broglie wavelength is maximum for. There are 4 particles given. What are the particles? Protons, alpha particles, neutron and beta particles. And all of them have same velocity. So here lambda will be equal to h divided by momentum. Momentum is mass times speed. And since all of them have same velocity, I can say lambda is proportional to 1 by mass. So they are asking de Broglie wavelength is maximum for. So whichever particle has lowest mass, that will have maximum wavelength of de Broglie wave. So out of proton, alpha particle, neutron and beta particle. Beta particle is what? Beta particle is nothing but either an electron or a positron. So out of these four, beta particles will have lowest mass. And since they have lowest mass, their de Broglie wavelength will be longest. So which one of them will be maximum de Broglie wavelength? Beta particle. Now remember, there are two types of beta particles. One is beta minus, one is beta plus. Beta minus is your electron, beta plus is your positron. What are positrons? What is beta minus, beta plus? That you will see in your nuclear physics. So option number 4th will be the correct choice in this case. Option 4. So let us solve next question, that is your question number 59. Question number 59. Now question number 59 says that a photoelectric cell is illuminated by a point source of light 1 meter away. When the source is shifted to 2 meter, then we have already done a number of questions on basis of this. That when your source is shifted away, then what happens? So now option 1, each emitted electron carries 1/4 of initial energy. No, because energy of the electron depends upon frequency, and whether you take the source away or closer, frequency does not depend. And if the frequency does not change, maximum energy of emitted electrons will not change. So option number 1 is wrong. Option number 2, the number of electrons emitted is half of the initial number. Now, the number of electrons emitted, N, is proportional to 1 by R square. We have already discussed this. So if the distance becomes twice, the number of electrons emitted will become, N2 will be equal to 1 by 4 times N1. So if you double the distance, then number of electron emitted becomes 1 by 4th, not half, because it is proportional to 1 by R square, not R. So second option is wrong. Each emitted electrons carries half the initial energy. That is also wrong, because energy does not depend upon distance. Option number 4, the number of electrons emitted is quarter of the initial number. That is your 2. We have already discussed this question. Question like this, same, we have already discussed. Next question is question number 63. Let's see what is your question number 63. Which of the following phenomena can explain quantum nature of light? Very easy. We have already discussed. What is quantum nature? Quantum nature is nothing but particle nature of light. We have already discussed this question. They have just changed the wording. Quantum nature and particle nature, same thing. So which phenomena shows quantum nature? Photoelectric effect. Other options are interference, diffraction, polarization. All of them are wave properties. So out of the 4 options, only photoelectric effect shows because of particle nature of light. And quantum nature, particle nature, same thing. So here you can say photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect. So option 1 is the correct choice. Next question is your question number 66. Yes, question number 66. Question number 66 says, which of the following statement is true about de Broglie wavelength of moving ball in cricket? Now remember, according to de Broglie, Louis de Broglie, any particle, if it has a speed or velocity, then it has a wavelength. Meaning every moving particle has a wavelength. So statement 1 says that de Broglie's theory does not apply such a big body. Of course it does. De Broglie theory applies on every object which is moving. So any moving object, de Broglie wavelength is applicable. It is another thing is that you may not be able to measure that wavelength. So de Broglie wavelength for a moving body can be written as lambda equals h divided by momentum. Momentum is mass times velocity. Or you can also write it as h divided by under root of twice mass times kinetic energy E. So that is your option number 1. No, option number 1 is wrong. Option number 2 is the correct choice, that lambda equals h divided by root over of twice me. In option number 1 they are saying that de Broglie theory does not apply on such a big body. That is wrong. De Broglie theory applies on any object which is moving. Any moving object, de Broglie theory is applicable. Next question, question number 81. We are only discussing de Broglie matter wave, de Broglie wave and photoelectric effect question, that is why. 81 question says, if the threshold wavelength for sodium is 5420 angstrom, then the work function of sodium is. Now, remember lambda naught equals to hc divided by phi, or phi equal to hc by lambda naught, where phi is the work function of the metal, lambda naught is threshold wavelength, h is the Planck's constant, c is the speed of light. Now, lambda naught is given 5420 angstrom and they are asking work function. So, phi equals hc by lambda naught. So, 1242 nanometer electron volt divided by lambda naught. Lambda naught in nanometer, how much it will be? It will be 542 nanometer. So, that will be approximately 2.3 electron volts. So, work function for the sodium will be approximately 2.3 electron volts. In the options, option number 2 has 2.28 electron volts. So, you can write option number 2 as the correct choice. Option number 2. They have given 2.28, here it is 2.3 approximately, no problem, that much you can afford. In the other option, they are very much difference. So, second option, 2.2 electron volt is the work function of sodium, that is your correct choice. Next, question number 82. What is question number 82? Question number 82 says the wavelength associated with an electron accelerated through a potential difference of 100 volt is nearly. Now remember, for a general particle you write lambda equals h divided by root over of twice mass, charge and potential difference. But for an electron, you can, after solving, we have already derived root over of 150 divided by potential difference angstrom. So they have given the potential difference is 100 volts. So lambda will be equal to under root of 150 is approximately 12.25 divided by under root of 100, that is 10. This much angstrom, that is 1.225 angstrom. So in your option they have given 100 angstrom, 123 angstrom, 1.23 angstrom, 0.123 angstrom. So this is approximately closest to 1.23 angstrom. So that is the closest value. So option number 3 is your correct choice here. Option number 3 is the correct choice. These are the very easy questions. They have given 100 volt and for electron. If they ask for any other charge particle, you can use this general formula, h divided by root over of twice mass, charge, potential difference. Next question, question number 89. Question number 89. Question number 89 says that work function of a photometal is 6.63 electron volts. The threshold wavelength is very easy. Lambda naught equals h divided by or hc divided by work function. Work function is equal to hc by lambda naught. So threshold wavelength they are asking. So lambda naught will be equal to hc, 1242 electron volts nanometer, divided by phi. Phi is your given as 6.63 electron volts. So when you solve this, you will get how much? Approximately 6.63, 190, okay, 190 nanometer. So approximately 190 nanometer will be your answer. But in the options they have given in angstrom. So nanometer is 10 to the power minus 9 and angstrom is 10 to the power minus 10. So you can write this as 1900 angstrom. So in the options, one is 3920 angstrom, second option is 1866 angstrom, third is 186.6 angstrom, and fourth is 18,666 angstrom. So second option is the closest, that 1866 angstrom. This is the closest option. So option number 2 is the correct choice. In the examination, you need not make exact calculation. If option is given as 1866 and I am getting 1900, that much closeness is enough. That much error you can afford. Exact calculation is not required when you are trying to solve as fast as possible. So 89. Next question is question number 91. Question number 91 is speed of an electron having wavelength of 10 to the power minus 10 meter is, okay. Lambda is nothing but h by mass times v, where v is speed. Here v is not potential difference, here v is speed. So wavelength they have given and speed they are asking. So v is equal to h divided by lambda. Lambda is given as 10 to the power minus 10 multiplied by mass. What is mass of an electron? 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 kg. And what is the value of h? H is 6.63 into 10 to the power minus 34. Everything is written in SI units. Now when you solve this, you will get 6.63 divided by 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 34 plus 41. So minus 34 plus 41 is 10 to the power 7. So this much. So this will be your approximately, you can say 9763. Okay. This will be approximately 0.72 into 10 to the power 7 meter per second. This much. That is your speed of electron. In the options, everything is 10 to the power 6. So 7.2 into 10 to the power 6 meter per second. Which one option is the closest? Fourth option. They have given 7.25. So that much is okay. So 7.25 into 10 to the power 6 meter per second. Option number 4 is the correct choice. Option 4 is the right. Let's solve next question. That is your question number 92. Question number 92 is which one of the following does not support the wave nature of light? Does not support. They are asking same question repeatedly. Question number does not support wave nature, meaning supports particle nature. So which one of them supports particle nature? Photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect does not support wave nature. And if it does not support wave nature, meaning it supports particle nature of light, your option number 1 is the correct choice. Next question, question number 93. So let us discuss question number 93. Question number 93 says the light of wavelength 4000 angstrom is incident on a metal plate whose work function is 2 electron volts. what is the maximum kinetic energy of emitted electrons, photoelectrons? So kinetic energy max, by this time you should remember this formula. Kinetic energy maximum equals to, in terms of wavelength, so hc by lambda minus of phi, where lambda is the wavelength of light, phi is the work function. So you can write hc is 1242 electron volts nanometer divided by lambda is 4000 angstrom, is nothing but 400 nanometer. 400 nanometer minus work function is 2 electron volts. So that will be your 3.105 electron volt minus 2 electron volt. That will be 1.1 electron volt. So kinetic energy of the, maximum kinetic energy of the electrons emitted. Remember, all of the photoelectrons will not have same energy. So maximum kinetic energy max here is equal to hc by lambda minus phi, where lambda is the wavelength of incident light. 1242 electron volts nanometer divided by 400 minus 2. This is 3.105 minus 2. That is approximately 1.1 electron volts. So the fastest photoelectron will have this much energy. Other photoelectrons will have energy less than this. So that is your question number 93. Option number 2 is your correct choice. Next question is question number 95. 95 is sodium and copper have work function 2.3 electron volt and 4.5 electron volt respectively. Then the ratio of threshold wavelengths is nearest to. Okay. Now remember, lambda is equal to, or lambda naught is equal to hc by phi. So can I write lambda 1 by lambda 2 equals phi 2 divided by phi 1. So for sodium and copper, lambda 1 by lambda 2 will be equal to work function of copper divided by sodium. So 4.5 electron volt divided by 2.3 electron volts. So this is 2.3 multiplied by 2 is 4.6. So approximately 2, ratio 1. So then the ratio of threshold wavelengths is nearest to. Okay, they are asking nearest. So approximately, it is not exactly 2, it is almost 2 ratio 1, nearest to. So option number 3 becomes your correct choice. Option number 3 is right. Next question is question number 96. What is question number 96? Question number 96 is two identical photocathodes, meaning simply emitter plates, receive lights of frequency f1 and f2. If the velocities of photoelectrons of mass m coming out are v1 and v2, then okay. So let's write half m v1 square, kinetic energy of the electrons, maximum kinetic energy, will be equal to h times frequency 1 minus of work function. Half m v2 square will be equal to h times frequency 2 minus work function. Work function will remain same. Now here what I can do, I can subtract first equation from second. What I will get? Half m v2 square minus v1 square will be equal to h times f2 minus f1, where work function phi will cancel out. So here I can write v2 square minus v1 square equals twice of h divided by mass times f2 minus f1, where v2 is the velocity, maximum velocity in second case, v1 is the maximum velocity in first case, h is the Planck's constant, m is the mass of electrons, f2 is the frequency used in second case, f1 is the frequency used in first case, and this is your option number 1. Option number 1 is your correct choice. Let's solve last question. Question number 100. Last question for this video. The de Broglie wavelength of a tennis ball of mass 60 gram moving with a velocity of 10 meter per second is approximately. Okay, so how you can find? Lambda is nothing but h divided by mass times speed. So what is h? 6.63 into 10 to the power minus of 34 divided by mass. Mass is what? 60 gram. So you have to write mass also in SI units. So 60 gram is how much? 6 into 10 to the power minus 2 kg multiplied by speed. Speed is 10 meter. So this will be your 6.63 divided by 6 into 10 to the power minus of 33. So that will be your 1.1 into 10 to the power minus of 33 meter. This is your wavelength of your what? Your 60 gram cricket ball moving with 10 meter per second. So they are asking approximately. So approximately you can write 10 to the power minus 33 meter. This is almost equal to 1. So option number 1 is the correct choice. Now remember, this is the wave property of that cricket ball. It is another thing that we do not have any instrument which can measure this small wavelength. So wave nature is there, but you cannot measure it because you don't have such a sophisticated instrument to measure this small wavelength. So if you cannot see the wave nature of your ball, does not mean that wave nature is not present. Wave nature is present. So this was your exercise 2 for your modern physics 1. We have only discussed de Broglie waves, matter waves or photoelectric effect questions in this video. For other topics, we will have another video. Until then, keep revising your topics and try to solve as many questions as you can.